Dr. Joanna.
And Adria.
And we're talking just a little bit about the super vibrant foods that we are working with in our kitchen, about why we source groceries from a little bit of a non-conventional system, and about what advantages there are for the nutrient density, for the life force flowing through them, and for the inspiration in the kitchen as well.
Yes.
Every week we get boxes of groceries from a company known as Fresh Harvest. We're really fortunate to have that here in Georgia where we live, and it's all sourced from local farms that are growing things organically, biodynamically, or regeneratively. So it's not going to be loaded with pesticides. It's typically not under organic standards, but usually it's grown using methods that are beyond organic and that are working with natural farming methods.
Exactly. So biodynamic, regenerative farming, that's what's up. Soil health is going to bring you these vibrant fruits and veggies. All right. So, getting started. Super luscious, grape tomatoes. These babies are so juicy and alive inside. The skin is tight. They pop and crack when you bite into them, and they're phenomenal. Crunch. These are locally grown strawberries. So most places in the South do have a strawberry season. That's right now here in Georgia. And so you can just see, again, the deep red berry color on these, the beautiful green tops. I mean, what else can you say? You just pop these in your mouth and eat them up. There's really no kind of preparation you need for a strawberry other than just lighting up with the delight of a ruby red strawberry.
Strawberries tend to go bad pretty fast around here. If we get them from the grocery store, kind of even at the higher end grocery stores, within about 3 days, there's mold visible on them if they're not already moldy in the grocery store. Whereas these ones are going to be good a week and a half from now, but they're not going to be here. So we're not going to be able to prove it.
Right, we're going to eat them.
We're going to eat them up and make them go away.
Absolutely.
At that time. But they're just, the time that they're picked, and they're picked when they're actually ripe, whereas most of the berries and fruits that you see in the grocery store are picked well before they're actually ripe, so that they can be transported worlds away and distributed worlds away. And with this system, we get them picked when they're actually ripe, so they have the maximum content of those nutrients out in the fruit. And wow, they're so fragrant.
And something else beautiful, when you're looking at your fruit, particularly strawberries, you can see if they've been picked too early, before they're even ripe and where they're ripening in the box, by the way they look under the stem, under the greens. The ones that are pale, from the very tip all the way down, those are not fresh or ripe berries. Those berries have been picked really early, and you're just not going to get the flavor pop and the nutrients that you would get from a perfectly ripe berry.
So here's an example. This one's just a tiny bit underripe, but this is still picked a lot riper than the ones that you're going to get in the grocery store. And these are they're like solid. These are going to last a lot longer and have that nutrient density present and available for us for a lot longer than what we would find in the grocery store.
All right, so here we have rapini, or broccoli rabe. It ain't broccoli.
It ain't broccoli.
So what it is actually in the turnip family, and it is the greens and the flowering greens from that turnip, so to speak. Very similar to a mustard green. And so these are going to be your bitter greens. They're phenomenal for digestive health. They are great to just saute real quick in the pan. Toss it through with a little rice or a brown rice pasta with some quinoa. However it is you like to prepare a little sauteed greens, they're also lovely just quickly stewed in with a soup. Like if you're making a soup in the wintertime, I love to just throw my greens in right towards the end so that they're not completely just cooked to death. They're still fresh, they have texture and a lot of flavor. And so the bitter greens are really important. We tend to shy away from them because they're not as tasty. But the good news is when you get your greens in the winter and in early spring, frosts and freezes are still happening, and the greens are resilient to that because they produce an extra sugar when it's getting cold to protect the plant from freezing. And we reap the benefits of getting a bitter green with the added dose of sweetness because the plant is protecting itself from that freeze, and so it's extra yummy.
These ones taste beautiful. Very early spring, broccoli rabi, or rapini is the other name for it. What else do we have here?
All right, so we have some green chives. Yum. I love making a ranch dressing with fresh dill and fresh chives. And if you have fresh parsley, even better. And you can use these with really anything. It's a flavorful garnish to add to any of your dishes. Rice, pastas, meats, if that's what you're going to do. It's all really quite lovely. It just adds a little kick of flavor to everything. And again, an extra layer of nutrients. It's green, it's fresh, it's going to be loaded with your vitamin C's. You're going to have your chlorophyll in there. You're going to have all the things that the plant has to give you right here instead of extra salt.
The every season or every pocket of the seasons has a little bit of a different theme or a little bit of a different energy that's present. And I think of early spring as being really cleansing to the system and really cleansing to the blood, really cleansing to the liver. And what I find is that coming out of the winter, where you might have had a higher amount of meats, maybe a lower availability of certain foods, you have these fresh, cleansing greens, the bitter greens like dandelion and like that broccoli rabi that are now so vibrant and coming out of the ground. And likewise with the chives and the spring onions and kind of the early garlics. They can be very cleansing for the liver, and that actually sets you up for a very good year where you can reap the benefits of what's happening in every subsequent season. What I find is that if I don't give my body space for cleansing in the early spring, I tend to be very susceptible to allergies later on in the spring. Whereas when I really cleanse in the early spring, right around the equinox, I tend to be much more resilient to allergies later in the spring.
Absolutely.
So what do we have here?
So here, talking about bitter greens in the spring, we have a leafy radicchio. So you're going to see just the color contrast that come up in this. You have your like white into your light green, into your deep green, and then into your purples. This screams nutrient density. It is vibrant, and as we peel it back, we can see maybe something what we're used to seeing with a classic radicchio. But this can be used just chopped up on your salad. You could grill it off. You can really just put this lovely leaf into any sort of fresh preparation. But it is really good. Just throw it on the grill for a minute, get a little char, and toss it through with your grains or your pastas or anything like that, or with your salads. So, radicchio.
Now we're bringing it over to the Swiss chard, the rainbow chard. And again, we have a lot of color variability. We have those veins of purple, those veins of white, those deep, dark, leafy greens of the chard plant. They're another bitter greens, you could say, but they're very gentle and have a very, like, almost neutral, soft flavor. They're great to cut up and just cook in some butter or a little bit of oil. They're also great to just add raw into a lot of salads. And I like to add a little bit into smoothies also. They contain some compounds that are really good for diabetes and that are good for a lot of other issues as well. So
absolutely. Super high in calcium. They run through the juicer really well too. Absolutely love these sauteed, like Joanna was saying. And one of my favorite things to do with Swiss chard as well as collard greens, I make a pot of black beans every week without fail. The kids just, it's necessary. They love it. And so when finishing up the beans, I always add some thinly sliced Swiss chard or collard greens to that. So what it hands you is not just like a beans and rice, but now you have beans, rice, and greens, and it's delicious, all stewed in there, and the kids don't balk at it. They're like, okay, they just eat it because it's all just one, and it's a really great way to slip a little extra nutrients into just something that would be a little less without it.
All right, and now we're getting down to the carrots here. Look at these beautiful carrots. Nice bright color, nice structure to them. They're very firm. You can tell that they were just picked. How can you tell they were just picked?
So we love our green tops. These are so versatile and can be used for so much more than compost, okay? So a carrot top pesto, run them through your juicer. You can chop them up finely, put them in your salad. They're flavorful, they're delicious. They definitely have a high level of fiber, so there's a good texture there as well. So when you're getting your carrots with the greens on top, not only do you know that the carrot is fresh because the firmness and the color of the carrot itself, of the root itself, but these greens are perfect on the top. They're not wilted, there's no brown, they're not discolored. Greens don't lie. If the greens are fresh, the root's fresh.
Beautiful. I'm just snacking as we go here through this process. What do we have next, Missy?
Ooh, sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a powerhouse snack, a powerhouse side. One of my most favorite things to do with these babies is just literally cut them in half, rub a little coconut oil on them, sprinkle some cinnamon and salt, put them in the oven at 350 for 30 to 45 minutes, just depending on the size. They caramelize and get so sweet, and again, the children just run by from the sheet tray, grab their snack and eat it, and you don't have kids telling you you're hungry. And they are delicious. We do this for dessert sometimes too. And so again, you're going to have your beta carotene in here, high in fiber, and you know, love your eyes, love your body. Sweet potatoes are phenomenal. Every week, eat your sweet potatoes, okay?
Now we're grabbing that fresh, beautiful celery. Look how big this baby is. Look how vibrant this one is right here. This celery is probably enough. I mean, we juice celery every morning, and this one's big enough to make like a 22-ounce juice or so.
Oh, easily, yeah.
This is some beautiful celery.
Love it. And again, look at those greens. Vibrant, vibrant greens. Tells you everything you need to know about the freshness of this produce.
And we also have a little bit of citrus. The citrus is sourced from Florida, from I think North and Central Florida, not really from Georgia. Citrus doesn't really grow that well in Georgia. I think there are a few types of citrus that do, maybe kumquats, or there might be certain types of mandarins, but this is coming very close as well from the state of Florida.
Absolutely. So you need a minimum of 7 lemons a week per person. You definitely want, obviously, at least 1 lemon a day. 2 lemons is even better. How do you get 2 lemons a day into your diet? Well, you juice a half of it first thing in the morning with some salt and warm water. We'll talk about that in another video. You put it in your dressings and just give it a squeeze midday into your water. It's a pick-me-up. It's a tonic for the skin, for the body. It clarifies, it cleanses. We can always use lemons, and we can always use some sweetness of this orange. Great for dressings, juices, and snacking.
Great for snacking. Taking that citrus in with lime also, so maybe diversifying it just a little bit and having 1 lemon, 1 lime, and some orange. If I feel like a little off base, my first thing is to take a little bit of lime juice with some sparkling water or with another water, and it just really grounds me, centers me, makes me feel a lot more present in my body, I think. And lemon and lime have kind of different, related, but very different medicines. And lime has that prevalence of malic acid, which is really great for dealing with inflammation. It's really great for dealing with the prevalence of viruses or viral loads in your body. It's really great for balancing uric acid and removing the effects of uric acid, which can include kidney stones, for instance, or can include certain gout and various types of joint pain. So lime and lemon kind of have slightly different effects in the body, but a diversity of citrus is definitely a good way to go, and a diversity of foods, and working with the seasonal variability and finding systems to be able to be fluent with utilizing, vegetables that you'd never heard of before. It's like, we'll just throw them on a salad and, saute them in the pan and add them to something else that's delicious that you're doing, and use them to just bring a punch of what the earth is really offering to you at this moment and at this time. It deepens our connection with the earth. It deepens our reciprocity with it, and it also frees us from a food industry that really is out of touch with the principles of nature. So the more we're able to flow with what's happening in nature and what's happening in the earth, and what the earth is offering to us, there's a much deeper intelligence that we're able to tap into when we work with that.
Absolutely.
So thanks for sharing our journey with these foods, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.